Here is our daily disclaimer. If you know me more personally and are not sure where I stand, you will know now. If you do not agree with what will be said, you are welcome to do as you choose. And most of all, if expression of emotion coming from knowledge about the subject bothers you, oh well. I will not be answering or discussing my thoughts on this, as I've done so many times already. Want to be a guest or start your own show? Well, I think that would be great. But there is no longer any credence, as far as I'm concerned, to those who decide to speak in the dark way anonymity on a subject that is so intense that people are literally dying for it. Here are some points that some choose to ignore, and that is that white people are not the only racist. But they are associated with almost all forms of racism, and that's not accidental. And it's definitely not a lie. But go to almost any place on earth and ask how people feel about white people. It's not only a US thing. The true difference is that the same way that white people have earned their place in a world full of pissed off people, almost 90% of the spread of such hate is from other white people. Yep, not sure what the hell I'm talking about? Well, here are some facts. Almost all of the US and international media is owned by white people. That includes newspapers, television, music industry, and so on. Almost all children that are born in the US, and we see a rise in black births all the time, most have no idea that if a white woman and a black man have a child, almost 90%, unless pointed out, the birth certificate will state, especially if the child is dark skinned, to say the nationality is black. Lots of the newer generation of black younger people and their hate for something they don't even understand comes from other white people. Still confused on what I'm saying? Almost all white kids that adopt that culture of black people, like rap, clothing, television, their men and women, participate for acceptance in the culture by doing what they think is making them cool, like constantly claiming to be fighting the powers that be, claiming to know what black culture means, and that almost all of their family, either at that very moment or one of the past, their family were racist. Last time I looked, there was one channel on television that catered to black viewers, and that's BET, which again is not known by most, was bought from Robert Johnson, which was predominantly run, and the shows and the media were aimed at black people at that time, and bought by MTV, which is owned by Viacom. Here was a quote after it was sold. There will not be African American ownership at the very top, and I think that makes a difference. That was said by James Winston, the executive director of the Washington based National Association of Black Owned Broadcasters. So when you get upset that most TV is only black people making fun of white people, well, you now know who put it on the air. Tired of all the slave movies? Again, who do you think keeps making them? The last time I checked, there wasn't a movie made by Tyler Perry called Medea Picks Cotton. Now, what is truly upsetting concerning this is the lack of white people to stand, to other white people that are making this possible. Whites are the first to blame the actions of all other races on the lack of things that they think they have, like schools, housing, and jobs. But don't stand and say, we can't keep getting blamed for this. So why don't we make sure that when we stereotype, act bigoted, or racist, how about we do it with people that have an opportunity and squander it instead of just lumping everybody into one category? And for those that think that this is not their place to do so, well, listen up. Because it's not your place to also be part of the problem publicly. The amount of disrespectful and almost 100% false claims of things that happen in the inner cities come from those who have never been to one. That's like me thinking that since I'm not okay with planes missing, crashing, or turbulence, that before I go to the airline to complain, I'll go directly to the cockpit and explain in detail how I feel about their actions. And yeah, that's exactly how it looks to everyone who watches whites on television and in the media and online spewing hate. And I've been seeing this one a lot. Oh, how come they can say nigger and I can't? Well, it's not that you can't, but why be an asshole about it? Is it really necessary? And if you thought or said it, what kind of person do you think that makes you? That your childish behavior of, while they can do it, why can't I? Well, if you did, that's why things are the way they are. Whites are not immune to the struggle of almost all races because when things go down, they're usually the first to have an opinion. From taking our jobs, to black people love to loot, to Asians owning all the stores and businesses, and let's not even get into the people from the Middle East. There has to be a time when whites see where the issues lie within their own community before they feel they can opt out of responsibility. The same way that all whites cannot be called racist is the same that all blacks cannot be called thugs. When we as a whole come to the consensus that there is a higher presence in the way we treat each other, then and only then can we realize that there is only one stereotype that should be used, and that is the stereotype that those in power are the real enemy. You can be mad about what I'm saying, but you can't claim it to be false. Thank you for listening to Trinity on Esoteric Truth Radio.